Ever wonder how much power a poet can cram into just a few lines of text? Well, today we're going to find out. We're diving into one of the most famous short poems out there, The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson. We're going to break down exactly how he builds an entire world of majesty and sudden, explosive action in just 6 short lines. Okay, so let's just take a look at the whole thing. Now, interestingly, Tennyson subtitled this poem a fragment. That little detail is going to be important later, so keep it in the back of your mind. For now, just listen. He clasps the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands. Ringed with the azure world he stands. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. He watches from his mountain walls, and like a thunderbolt he falls. Wow, so much in so little space, right? All right, first things first, let's look at that opening stanza. You can almost think of it like the establishing shot in a movie. Tennyson isn't just saying, hey, here's a bird. No, he's showing us a king on his throne. Let's really zoom in on the words he uses here. He doesn't just say the eagle grips the rock. He says it clasps it. You can feel the strength and the permanence in that word, can't you? And then this phrase, crooked hands. Not claws, hands. It makes the eagle sound ancient, almost human, like it has this old, earned power. And this is so important. Tennyson isn't just painting a picture of a place. He's building a character. This eagle is all alone, way up in these lonely lands, so high he's practically touching the sun. See, that's not just about where he is, it's about who he is. He's on top of the world, literally. And then he just seals the deal with this next line. Being ringed with the azure world, I mean, come on, it's like the whole blue sky is his crown, or this giant moat around his mountain castle. And he's not doing anything, he just stands, completely in charge. Okay, so let's move on to the second stanza. This is where things get really interesting. The whole perspective, our camera lens if you will, just tilts way, way down. We go from the eagle's world up in the sky to what he's seeing far below. And from way up there, the ocean, this massive, powerful thing, is totally transformed. It's not this big, scary force anymore. Instead, it looks old, wrinkled. And its huge waves, they look so small from that high up that it's like the whole sea is just crawling. It's incredible, right? So the big question is, how on earth does Tennyson do all this with so few words? Well, it all boils down to some really clever literary tools he's using. Let's go back to that one phrase, crooked hands. We mentioned it before, but it's worth another look. Calling his talons hands wasn't an accident. It's a super deliberate choice, and a perfect example of a really powerful technique. And that technique is called personification. By giving the eagle hands, Tennyson totally changes the game. It's not just an animal anymore. Now it's a character, right? With a purpose, a history, a real sense of regal authority. We're forced to see it as a personality, not just a bird. And he does the exact same thing with the sea. It's not just old, it's wrinkled, almost like a person's skin. This personification makes the sea feel ancient and alive, but also kind of weak, crawling along under the eagle's timeless gaze. So if you look here, you can see this perfect balance in the poem. That first stanza, it's all about stillness. This coiled-up energy. The eagle clasps, he stands. But then in the second stanza, everything shifts. It becomes about observation. The sea crawls, and most importantly, he watches. He's a predator, just waiting, building up all that potential energy for that one final, explosive move. He falls. So all this waiting, all this majestic quiet and watching from way up high, it's all been leading up to one single moment. A sudden, violent, and totally unforgettable conclusion. Think about it. We get 5 lines of pure stillness, and then bam! Everything changes in a split second. That last line just hits you, just like the action it's describing. And like a thunderbolt, he falls. The shift from the word stands to the word falls is just, wow. It's pure, raw, unleashed energy. And the magic word here is like. It's a simile. Comparing the eagle's dive to a thunderbolt, I mean, that's not just about being fast. A thunderbolt is speed, yeah, but it's also power, shock, and this unstoppable force of nature. It is the absolute perfect way to release all that tension he's been building. But wait, the story isn't quite over. Remember that little clue I told you to hang on to from the very beginning? That subtitle? Well, it turns out Tennyson left us with one last really cool puzzle. So here's the thing. He gave us this poem that feels absolutely perfect and complete on its own, but then he calls it a fragment. Why would he do that? Well, it's a totally deliberate choice. He's telling us, hey, this perfect little picture you just saw, it's actually just one piece of a much bigger story you're not seeing.
And that, of course, leaves us with the big question. He falls like a thunderbolt, but then what? Is he hunting? Is he about to snatch his prey from that crawling sea? Or is it something else entirely? Could this be the end for him? Is this his final fatal fall? The poem just stops. It leaves us to wonder what happens next, which is, a pretty perfect ending for a perfect fragment, don't you think?